You assume intent without direct evidence. The reaction that feels immediate. Someone sends a short message. No tone, no explanation, just a few words. And almost instantly you decide what it means. Maybe they're annoyed. Maybe they're ignoring you. Maybe something is off. What's strange is how fast that conclusion happens. You don't stop to check. You just feel it and it feels real. What you think you are interpreting. It feels like you are reading the situation correctly, like you're picking up on something subtle. But this raises a question. Are you actually reading the other person's intent, or are you filling in the missing parts yourself? Because most of the time, you don't have direct evidence. You have incomplete information, how the brain completes the story. The brain doesn't like gaps. When something is unclear, it tries to complete the picture. It uses past experiences, patterns, and expectations to do it. So if something feels similar to a past situation, your brain may assign the same meaning, even if the current situation is different. This happens quickly, and because it feels automatic, it feels accurate. Why negative interpretations feel stronger? There is also a tendency to lean toward negative interpretations. Not always, but often enough to notice. If a message is unclear, it's easier to assume something is wrong than to assume everything is fine. This is interesting because it shows that the reaction is not neutral. It is influenced by how the brain prioritizes potential problems. A situation that feels familiar. I've seen this happen in everyday situations. A teacher gives brief feedback and it feels harsher than it probably is. A friend takes longer to respond and it starts to feel intentional. The situation itself hasn't changed, but the interpretation builds around it. And once that interpretation is there, it shapes how you respond. The problem with assuming intent. When you assume intent without evidence, you start reacting to something that may not actually exist. That reaction can affect your mood, your behavior, and even your relationships. It creates tension based on a conclusion that was never confirmed. And because it feels real, it's easy to act on it without questioning it. What happens when you pause? If you pause for a moment, even briefly, the situation can look different. Instead of jumping to a conclusion, you consider other possibilities. Maybe the message was rushed. Maybe the person was distracted. Maybe there is no deeper meaning at all. That pause does not remove the situation, but it changes how you interpret it. Why this shift matters. This small shift can prevent unnecessary misunderstandings. It creates space between what actually happened and what you think it means. And in that space, your response becomes more intentional instead of automatic. That difference may seem small, but it changes how situations develop over time. Final thoughts. You don't always have access to other people's intentions, but your brain will try to create them anyway. That process is fast and often convincing, but it is not always accurate. And once you start noticing how often this happens, it becomes easier to question it instead of immediately believing it. Thanks for watching.